Hello, I'm ToycatA, and welcome back to an episode of the Minecraft Bedrock Update Adventures Let's Play. This is the weekly update as to what's been going on, both in my survival world, as well as life, the universe, and everything in between. And today, I'm going to be taking a bunch of my wood that I got from chopping down all of the trees. I did a lot of deforestation, and as a result, I get a lot of oak wood, which we'll be turning into oak wood planks, because I want to work on my redundant transportation system. That's right, it's 2020, and for some reason, my Let's Play world still has a minecart access. It's in the sky, and I think the last time I genuinely used it was 2018, and even then I knew it was slower. It was just for the fact that it was prettier for a video. It's a very bizarre transportation system, and it's even made more bizarre when you realize, as indeed came up in the girlfriend video, but when you realize that on the inside I have to get to it via a giant staircase, which makes it even slower and less effective to use. I genuinely think I can run, and it's not a huge deal slower than just going up these stairs and taking the minecart system, and that's before we think about blue ice boats, which have replaced minecarts as the de facto transportation, and that's before we realize that even if you can't build a rail line somewhere, you can still fly around just fine. I mean, I got all the way up here, and I can now fly the rate, fly the length of this, and I can fly it faster than a minecart can go. So the question therefore becomes, also I can go upwards and downwards at rates much better than minecarts. So the question becomes, why do I have this system at all? And what do you do with something like this once it becomes kind of depreciated? There's two options. One is preserve it like that forever, and I totally want to keep it in some form because it has like historic value to me. But the second option, the one I want to kind of take advantage of, is to kind of make it into something more useful for the modern age, and that's what I'm doing today because I have 3 of these sky rails. One of these goes from my big brick house to my cave house over there. I've got one that goes from over here to my torch-covered desert, and indeed a village, the museum, etc. And then I've got one that goes from the torch-covered museum, the desert, etc., all the way over to my main house on top of the cliff. If you've never seen it, by the way, people think I don't have a fancy Minecraft house. I have one that is, honestly, if I say it's nice, people will just criticize me for it. But I built a giant castle. It's just giant castles are not practical Minecraft houses, so that's why I live in a little square box with a roof on top of it. But yeah, that's what today I wanted to make this rail, this minecart that is but it borders, I'd say it borders on unusable. It is unusable besides when you want good views. So let's take advantage of the one thing it doesn't mess up, because again, it sucks for speed, it sucks for usability, but it doesn't suck for these amazing views of the world, and that's what you need to look at every now and then. Sometimes one of the biggest things that bogs us all down is the sunk cost fallacy. I spent so much time on something already, so I have to spend more time on it, or I can't get rid of it. I spent all the time on there, and I'll be honest, it does catch me up too. But let's use today as our official getting rid of that. Let's turn these oak logs into oak planks, and let's instead, of having it like kind of turn around right here and go back forwards, what if instead we combine 2 of the sky rails together? What if instead of this just going here and back over to there? It's meant to do a loop, but I never finished it, and I guess never particularly cared to. But what if instead of, having 2 loops, one of these leading back there, one of these leading back there, what if instead we combine the loops together? And I tend to be of the opinion that there's 2 major ways you can do something like this, where you're trying to kind of undo something that already exists. It's a big and kind of scary move. The first one, and the easy one we could just do, is be like, yeah, instead of the minecart going round in a circle here, we just get rid of these 4 blocks right here, and then boom, look at that. We rail across to over here, and now it's just a brand new rail cart system. But I tend to find there's a certain attachment you'll get to, like old systems where it's like, oh, I don't want to get rid of it entirely though. What's the point in that? And that's where I tend to find that having some form of redstone system, say we could have a lever or a button or something. For now, let's use a button just for fun. But having some form of, like redstone system in place allows you to do stuff like this, where you press the button and now the minecart track changes. Although, wait. Now it does that instead. So I guess actually, yeah, facing this way should be the default, and this should be the not default. But yeah, you can do, you can have redstone as a way to change minecart tracks, effectively using this one, as you can see. If I'm going along it, we'll do this one at full speed. A button is a terrible idea, by the way. I'm just trying to show you redstone. But if we go along this at nice normal speed, and then we press that button as we go past, as you can see, we speed off to this track, although that's really hard to do, so again, I'd like that not to be the default, but the one for spinning around. Whereas if we don't press the button, just like this, we spin round, and if we don't fall onto the ground, we'd go around the loop and backwards, effectively giving us the options to both go around the loop and to not go around the loop. If you're curious about how I intend to make it so that the rail goes the other way by default, you might be able to play around with the tracks in a certain way, but I don't think so. So instead, what you just do is you use a little kind of inverting redstone signal thing. And the way we're going to do that is we just have another block over here, and we place a little redstone torch on the edge of that. That redstone torch is on by default. And then when we do any form of signaling, like even just for simple, just to keep things simple, we'll have a button on the other side of this. Not that we can touch this from the tracks, but now when we press the button, what it does is it undoes the redstone signal. It's a useful little feature that maybe you don't know about. You should know about it. It's one of the basic redstone things. But, you know, like, a lot of people always overassume the knowledge of redstone in Minecraft. It is a whole segment of the game that you can live happily for dozens of years without knowing, and I always think like it's kind of elitist to be like, oh, you should know about this feature because I care about it. And it's like, well, you know, not everyone has to care about things you care about. That's an a-okay fact of life. So now we put a button on there, and boom, the exact same thing works, but without being quite as ugly, in my opinion. Boom, done, nice. So now we just need to get some minecart tracks and work out how to do this a bit more elegantly, and it'll be golden. By the way, even as I go to get the minecart tracks, I was considering taking the minecart journey, but then I was just like, I'd rather get there fast, though, and isn't there something beautifully tragic about that? Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. You be the judge of that one. By the way, the easiest way to get powered rails in Minecraft is obviously you have to craft them. There's no real massive way you can do it otherwise. But if you want to get regular minecart rails, you know, and you don't want to waste 6 of your iron to get 16 rails, which personally, I think it's very efficient, and obviously a lot of people don't mind about the iron consumption, and you know, we have a lot of iron smelting around here somewhere anyway, I think. You know, I'm wrong about the iron smelting, which is why we have to be so careful about it. And therefore, instead, we're going to focus on the second way you can get some rails. Find yourself an abandoned mine shaft. I happen to know that there's one at the very edge of my old 360 world down here. And what do you know? Inside those mine shafts, you're going to find yourself some rails. And I think there's some argument for leaving them here because, like, well, rails are so nice and that's really great and stuff. And it kind of keeps the mine shaft looking mine shafty. But when, like me, you've kind of carved out your mine shaft and turned it into something to get you across the world anyway, it kind of makes sense that you can pick up these minecart rails, or at least outside of this main room. This little hallway, we'll leave it there just so it looks nice and authentic. Everywhere else, though, I'm coming in and I'm stealing these rails. I think we have to go through the ground, which actually means going through the glitched rails, which have been there for years. Shouldn't have been able to be there for years, but let's not comment on it now. And now we can get ourselves some minecart rails. It is a different way of doing it, but again, Minecraft is all about giving you choices, I feel like, giving you different ways to do things. And something about that, I find, you know, because if you think about it, like, there is, I kind of rag on minecarts a lot as being a worse form of transport. If you think about, and obviously that's kind of where it is, it's the mean form of transport, but they really do have a value in being a scenic, no buttons required, like you literally get in them, you push forward once and then it goes the rest of the journey itself. It's a no effort required solution to getting around a Minecraft world, which in reality, because of its speed, means it's not to get around for regular reasons, because it's just going to be so slow for that particular purpose, but instead it means like, oh yeah, if you want to show off something, then that's real great. And given that, as I've mentioned before, the Let's Play world is going to be available to download semi-soon, even though not in this version, it'll be the first update, you'll be able to do this. One of the things I think would be great is if people do want to see around the Let's Play world, they would be able to do that using the minecart system. And that's where I kind of want it to be. Like, okay, for me, you know, like when I want to just get a scenic view of all the things that I've built over the last 8 years, I can use the minecart rail system. I can hop in a minecart and just kind of explore it that way, because there is a certain beauty in that. And I think as Minecraft, the game developer, it's their job to make minecart rails and minecarts more useful. I would hope that they choose to do that at some point. I think as players in the game, so often you can get stuck on the idea of like, they should make this great, but still it's worth mentioning, but what can I do while it is not great? What can I do without it being great? And sometimes the answer is just nothing. Like, again, for most Minecraft players, the answer to what should I do with minecart rails is nothing unless you're okay with a less efficient system, nothing unless you're okay with giving up speed, giving up, you know, like sound, because minecarts are really, really loud in Bedrock for reasons I've never fully understood. But if you're willing to give up all those things, then minecart rails are an acceptable thing, right? Also, we're definitely going to have too many by the end of this, but you know what I say? I say you can't have too many. Also, pro tip, creepers can't see behind fences. I mean, they should be able to see you, but we know how Minecraft works, and they totally can't. Anyway, we've got ourselves enough minecart rails now. Let's hop out of here. Actually, since I'm trying to light up the entire Minecraft world for a bizarre project that, you know, it's in the midst of being made, probably slightly on hold by my America plans, which, by the way, in case you're curious about what I've been up to in the past week, that's a big thing. Like, right now, I can't comment because obviously this is ahead of time. Just in case you don't know, I've been in a little bit of an interesting situation the last 2 weeks as a precondition to getting into America. But yeah, we're going to see if that works, or if maybe something awful happens and I'm not only denied entry temporarily, but if you get denied entry to America once, it affects your the rest of your life for a little bit, which would be maybe a problem for someone like me, but we'll talk about that. When I know what's happening, we can talk about it in live streams, we can talk about it with actual stuff. But yeah, things are going a little bit wacky today, and we don't really know the end result. But yeah, that's why maybe things are on hold, or maybe everything's fine. We don't know until we know. All I know is we finally found our way out. Heck yeah. So again, gonna leave these rails here. I've also left some cobwebs here. I took the rest out with some silk touch shears a long time ago. But it's kind of fun to have a mineshaft that sort of exists while also kind of being like a weird tourist attraction looking thing. I guess tourist is the wrong word. Although actually, you know, people will tour my world at some point. That's one of the benefits that they might want to pick it up for. So I guess if you think about it, you would be a tourist, and that is something that might attract you, making that a tourist attraction. But yeah, let's get back to the minecart rails. Because now we've picked up these rails, we can do something which should be very clear. And look at that, we've made a proper little system. This will allow people to go this way, but if they go back that way instead, they'll head over here. And then these rails, if I actually can finish them correctly, I could even make it go around the loop, which we'll say is the default. Actually, we won't say that's the default. We'll say the default is going forwards. Is that easy to set up? I don't imagine it is. No, it's kind of not. Actually, yeah, that's good. And then if you press a button, then it will take you... Wait. Yeah, no, this is always forwards by default, but I want it to be... Which is what I want, so that's perfect. And then if you press a button, which you'll be able to do over there, you would be able to go back around the loop over yourself. But again, we're going to assume people don't want to do that for now. Then what we've got to do is have this go forwards. It's a little bit of a pain because there's a powered rail here, so we have to move that in some way, which we'll just do. Because I was thinking of going all the way around there, but that's so ugly by comparison, I guess I just have to not. And instead we'll just have the two loops, which are apparently very different sizes, meet over here, nice and simply. And then we can... Oh, I guess we shouldn't have the little bridge around here. I guess we should instead just leave it like that. Make it more clear that it's a bridge between loops, maybe. Or maybe that's just really ugly. But that's fine. It's Minecraft. No one can tell you what you can and cannot do. I believe those are the famous words. But yeah, now we have that go round. Oh, it's going around the wrong way. But that's because there's a redstone torch. Perfect. Okay. Things look a little bit weird right here. But as you can see, we now have a minecart system, which by default will take you around the entire loop. But if you want to just go around a single loop, which no one should want to, but it's an option, now it's totally able to be done using buttons, which can be placed in a bunch of places. Actually, we only need one other button, or a lever, we could say, over here for fun. We just have one lever over here, go around the loop, don't go around the loop, and then one button here, which is don't want to go around the loop, don't press the button, want to go around the loop, press the button. It's a really simple piece of redstone, but it does some really good stuff. And that's what I like. Simplicity is sometimes a really great thing. And yeah, we're also going to set up a piece of redstone rail over here, because I think it's a while till there's one anyway. Again, this was built in a time where minecarts were actually a good form of transport, because not only were they, you know, there weren't competing methods, but also they used to go faster in Minecraft console, something they've never ported over, despite the fact that I think it's a really good idea. But we'll leave that to the side for now. We won't mention that too much. Actually, also, I want to remove these. It looks like, you can see right here how I clearly had these placed so I could place these redstone torches. But this little piece of wood only goes so far, and it goes all the way on the other side. So we either need to place this all the way, which we won't, or we remove it all the way, which I totally will. There we go. Look how nice this is. Consistency. I'm glad I finally have some. So allow me to give you a short tour of my world while it's lit up at night, because I have done a lot of, you know, lighting up the world as you've seen. Again, it's one of those projects where I think it was really fun to do, but I kind of realized halfway through, like, it's going to be so impossible to show and explain in a video, besides just being like, hey, look at it, it's kind of cool at night. Like, it won't be a successful video, but it's one of those survival projects I'm glad I did, because there is something just glorious about having the world not be dark when it gets dark at night. You know, that is a full dark sky coming out there, but I don't have to deal with that. And there is something about that I really love. Anyway, so next up we've got, so there's kind of like three sections, like I said. There's the wood section, there's this glass section, and then there's the kind of slab section. And obviously, that you could argue they're all wood because they're all made out of wood, but we'll ignore that set of words for now. And instead just say, oh yeah, we just have to now link the exact same things, but over here as well. And you can see how it's basically done for us. Just have some wood that goes from there to there to there. Remove this plank in the meantime because, you know, it gets in the way of the vision. have a piece of wood be there, and do the exact same thing over here. This is actually much rounder, like because I actually, oh, that was a waste of a firework. Because I had the things next to each other, it was real nice. And yeah, look at that. This goes to show why you should have certain things be planned in, but also you can just entirely jerry-rig existing systems if that's what you want to do. And now, just like this, presuming that this will rebuild, it won't. It always wants to curve. And it always wants to curve to the south and the east, which makes building it in this direction actually slightly harder, because there's going to have to be a switch which is on by default instead of off by default. So over there, a little switch. Nope, really doesn't agree with that. Let's put it on the side of the block. Over here, we change that around by default, and then we'll go forward by default. And we have to do the exact same thing over here, where again, by default, right now it curves. I want the default to be going around the curve, which requires another lever, or a button. Or we could use a minecart with a pressure plate in it. It's called a detector rail, I think. So just get a stone pressure plate, put it in some rails. But I think, yeah, realistically, because I want it to be more of a choice, we'll use a lever. If only I could get cobblestone, which for some reason is the thing required in a lever. I've always thought that's so odd. But if only I could get some cobblestone, there's no way I'm going to be able to find that anywhere around here. It's definitely not the resource I get the most in Minecraft and go, I have so much, I genuinely don't need to move it. So I think in here, okay, yeah, is this enough cobblestone? Are you guys sure about that? Let's triple check anyway. So we'll get 4 levers. Seems like enough. We should also check what else we've got around here. Every now and then I find something I'm like, oh yeah, now that would actually be pretty useful. Like packed ice, using that in the Nether these days. Bunch of seeds, need those for the wheat farm. It's kind of nice to like check your chests every now and then, see what you've just forgotten about. And I'm gonna do that now and go to sleep, and then get back to the rails. Okay, this should be really simple. We just have to have a lever over here. It's on by default, can easily be turned off. Oh, on by default, going that way. Easy to turn off. Maybe it's not on by default. Maybe that is. I don't honestly know what an on and off lever is. Huh, it is just off by default. So we turn it on when we want stuff to happen, and we don't when we don't. But yeah, like the lever is such a weird recipe in my opinion. I also wonder, like, how does the stick get slightly grey? It seems like it should be like a stone button or something at the top. I know why it's not, because it's a dumb recipe. But like, it's always the one that requires cobblestone, and always trips you up because you don't expect cobblestones useful in recipes, and it proves you wrong. Proves your preconceptions about the world entirely wrong. Makes you feel really silly. And speaking of feel real silly, let's go this way a little bit, and then let's. Oh no. Okay. Speaking of preconceptions, so something that really caught my attention recently. So again, I am right now really excited because a lot of people have been getting their plushes. That's what's been happening as I record this video, and it's you know, like at the end of this month, everyone's got their limited one-time run to get plush thing. And like the thing about that is like there's been so much pressure. Some people being like, hey, I'd love to buy one now, please can I? And I really want to stick my word of like, I said I will not produce that plush again. Like that was a one-time thing, and I think that's really important with anything, because to some people, yeah, whatever, that's not going to be the most important factor. To most people, in fact. Also, you go way faster on a zigzag. Again, weird quirk about minecarts, I guess. But a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I'd love to do that. But I also think that having, like, I love the idea of limited edition time stuff, because it makes people value, again, it makes you really appreciate the whole, like, this is a one-time in history thing. This happened and then it didn't kind of thing. And, yeah, you know, like, something a lot of people suggested is, like, maybe we should do, like, a different plush run in the future. And who knows, maybe we will at some point. But it's just something that's been really cool. I love seeing enthusiasm about a thing. Like, it's cool that a thing, you know, like, a physical thing that's hard to make, like, it's, they require, like, manufacturing in China and shipping all around the world. It's cool that a physical thing is in existence. So the next thing we're doing here, in case you're curious, is I want to expand this tunnel, which currently stops at my house, and I think that's entirely fine. Like, I think it should do like a little loop here or something. I want to expand this to make it go back that way and connect to the original Skyrail line. I want to make a full loop, which brings you like over to there and then back again, I guess. I want to make a full loop of this minecart system, and it's something I'm looking forward to, is like have the minecart be something you can just sit in for as long as you like, while you just observe the world going by. Again, I like minecart systems, and I like the idea of like basically my world being like a theme park for a roller coaster ride to go through. And so basically, you know, what I'm going to be doing is expanding this stop, which I want to make it so that it's really clear you can get off here from my castle house, because, you know, it's kind of a fun little stop. And I think the best way to do that without being too messy is just to make a big, like, zigzag around. So, like, let's break these minecarts here, and then let's have it go like, okay, you can go all the way around and then into this doorway here, which will destroy, I guess, or move back a block. Guess we're gonna have to move it back a block. That's as simple as it gets to me. But yeah, we'll just have it like kind of zig around before going back. And then it's very clear, like, you can get out here if that's what you want to do. Except, also probably remove these blocks. But anyway, yeah, I want to make it like, you go round and about and you're like, get out. This is the last opportunity. And then it springs forwards through the mountain, comes out on the other side. And then over here, we could have a bunch of like planks which link it up to the main pathway. It's going to be kind of tricky to do, but we'll try our best. It'll be fun. And so yeah, that's I've been really excited about the ToycatA Plushie go now. I've been really excited about everything that's been happening channel-wise and not, because you know, there are so many projects which you know, there's so many things you do in life which don't have immediate benefits. It's really a hard one to like. Also, I didn't realize we needed those blocks. Probably, definitely to be there. But it's really, really hard sometimes to do something when the reward is going to be so far away. I think the most messed up thing is that one of the most important determinants in a lot of people's life, not everyone's life, a lot of people are immune from this being the most important determinant, and that it would be great if more people had that luxury. But like, you know, your schooling, right? Like how well you do at school is something that requires an inordinately long amount of thinking about to turn into results. Like you can't just, you know, like if you are focused and if you know like, oh yeah, if I get this, then it allows me to do X, Y, Z things, then you would know perfectly like, yeah, I should do stuff in school. I should be, you know, super great at that so that I can, you know, with the very intention of like, getting, you know, a well-paying job so I can get all the things that I want in life sometimes. Whereas the things that you directly want day to day, like I am really craving a pizza is a feeling you have, like a feeling of loss. And then you get a pizza and it's like, oh, I have a pizza, I feel so good. Versus I would like to have, you know, I'd like to be the CEO of some giant, you know, company. It's very hard to actualize that goal compared to the pizza one, you know? Because, I mean, one, because a lot of people stand to make a lot of money from selling you pizzas, and it's hard to make money selling someone to be the CEO of something. And the second thing is like the big delay between doing it and seeing the physical results in the world. And that's something I feel like is, you know, again, that's why a lot of people, I never understood in school, people always drove on message like, this really will affect your life. And I was like, but like, really will it? Or is that just like what you're saying because you're a teacher and you're employed to say that, you know, like, I always had this like a hard time trying to work out why it was seemed to be important, why it was ever deemed like, oh yeah, you're telling me it's important, but you would tell me if it was important if it wasn't, if someone said you had to keep your job, right? And you know, and realistically they'd be like, yeah, I guess so, but that doesn't mean that I am doing that. And I guess like, you know, that proves a point about trust that I've made many times before. I like trusting people. It's very hard to trust people, especially on the internet. But I like being able to trust people. It's a very powerful feeling when you can get it. I like loyalty for the same thing. Loyalty is a form of trust. Like once someone's been around for a while, you can trust them more because they've got more to lose by, you know, preaching your trust entirely. Also, I guess we're just going to go flat across this and then have it go up at the very last second. I could have measured the white heights for both of these things, but I think it's almost perfect that this comes out from the side. Oh, actually, I think I would have preferred it to not ruin the pictures of that. Yeah, I think it should have gone down and then through another mountain, maybe, because we would have gone through there. I don't want to destroy all of my work so far, but I think we're going to have to. I think that's the only way that this goes. And that's sad, but it's necessary. Sometimes, again, like the easiest thing to do here would be to just keep it. And I think, honestly, I could see a world where it's me that decides to do it because, you know, a lot of times you do want to make impulsive decisions. Impulsive is fun sometimes, but also so is planning. And anyway, so in the same way a lot of people find it hard to make long-term decisions, you know, like, and it is, because the short-term ones are always so much more rewarding. A lot of things that, like, have taken a long time to get out there, like, you know, in videos like Meaning of Life Explained by Sky Wars, like, there's a lot of, like, stuff that takes a long time, and I think people might like it. I don't even know for sure, though. I should put a lot of effort in and really hope. It's scary, but when it comes out, it's great. And that's how I feel about the plush. Like, these plush things are so cool. It's a limited edition thing that just exists in the world. People already mentioned, like, the weird feeling and, like, the collectiness of it. And I love that a lot. I love having made that feeling for other people. And, you know, that's also where I'm hoping the survival map goes. I think there's something cool and inherent about humans where we want to spread feelings that we enjoy to other people. Like, that's why, in theory at least, you know the share function on YouTube that no one actually really ever uses? Even though, like, it's even in my outro, like share it if you really liked it. It's like, well, you know, if you think your friend would actually enjoy a Minecraft video, do that. I don't know how close you have a friendship with your friends where you're like, oh yeah, they'd enjoy this Minecraft Let's Play, where the guy talks about the meaning of life and the value of transactions and why schooling is the worst thing that's entrenches existing systems. It's not because you know, like something about rich people knowing each other. It's just that, oh yeah, there is a certain once you really need someone in your life to tell you to do that stuff, and right now your parents aren't necessarily gonna be doing that for you. Like, rather than do you need someone to talk about that stuff? Like, do you think you might not even agree with it? It might be like, but is that something I want to share with my friend over there? Do I want to share this video about the meaning of life explained via Skywars, or ToycatA's girlfriend reviewing his world? It's, you know, like it's true, most people don't. But the idea is like, yeah, I want to share my base feeling, and and it's kind of I always feel bad when I'm asking like any great thing from people. And again, sharing is totally that on some level. Even subscribing is like a moderately big commitment. It's like, yeah, I prefer asking people to consider subscribing as opposed to being like, you should do it. Because anyone who like would do it if I say you gotta subscribe, but wouldn't do it if I say you consider, it's like, do we want them on board anyway? Maybe if they're that like easily peer pressured, I worry about whether they should be subscribing in the first place, perhaps. Let's just have another torch be further down here. Real nice. And also, yeah, look at this. This is much nicer. It's a much more understated thing. And we could probably even tunnel around it if we want to. Like, maybe glass tunnel on the sides, but, like, on the top it looks like stone. So we could see out and get a really nice view of the sugarcane farm. Oh, no, this blocks the view. This blocks the view. I think what I'll do is I'll make a little hole for it, like there. And I'll pretend that was one of my holes that looks down at the sugarcane farm there. And we can pretend that I'm really good at terraforming the world to make it look natural. That's what I will do. Whenever you see beauty in nature, steal it for yourself and pretend you're that smart. Also, look, I can see the sugarcane up there, but I can't see the sugarcane in those layers until I get, like, closer. Do you see that? Like, the sugarcane vanishes in and out of existence as I get closer to it. But if I fly up, there's no sugarcane. I assure you there is. It's just a very weird thing. Anyway, let's go to sleep. Let's work some more in the morning. Anyway, one of the things that feels appropriate to talk about while I'm talking about the fact that in Minecraft, transport has many options, and one of them just feels universally worse than the others, but is still worth using sometimes. If we're going to talk about this, and we're going to mention this, I think it should be at least worth mentioning something I've been thinking about a lot recently. Because, you know, it's true in the real world that, like, yeah, there are some things that seem like easy decisions, but it doesn't mean, you know, like, because you like the option so much more than others, but it doesn't mean that other people share that exact same sentiment. Because something I saw that, like, really, like, I don't know, it stuck with me. It's like, this is how I used to think. It's a form of thinking I am trying to, you know, I still get it every now and then. I'm trying to string myself out of. But basically, in the UK, we had a COVID contaminant. We had a couple of them actually in food factories, and one of them was in a packaged sandwich warehouse. So I know this exists in other countries, but it's way more common in the UK that we love the packaged sandwich. Like, you know, you go to a store and you buy a sandwich. You don't buy ingredients for a sandwich. You buy a ready-made, already existing in the world sandwich. And I feel so weird explaining that, but just in case that isn't common where you are, because I heard a thing that someone came to the UK and was shocked by how much we liked sandwiches here, and the fact that you can buy it from literally any store, like grocery store, convenience store, like you know, like petrol station, like go anywhere and you can find packaged sandwiches. So just in case that is an uncommon thing to you, now you know. And you know, someone's response to that was like, man, 300 cases I think it was as a result of this one factory. And, you know, given that we're, like, you know, looking down so much right now, is it so much to ask, given that it's such a huge amount of COVID and risk, and at some point lives, right, that have been lost as a result of this, would it be so much to ask for people to just not eat packaged sandwiches for a bit, you know? And it seems like a really reasonable request on the surface. When you say stuff like that, again, it's like, I guess we're talking about fallacies today on some level. But once you phrase something like that as like, oh yeah, couldn't we just, you know, like make the thing happen? Couldn't we just, you know, do the thing right here? It does seem super reasonable on that level. I don't think anyone can take it away. But then you realize what it is like, oh yeah, because the author is someone who clearly doesn't like packaged sandwiches too much. They're already, right? They're probably someone who was not the prime market for this, and they think like, oh, this thing is real dumb. Why do we even need to have it? Or even if they're not, they're probably someone who's not the biggest fan of it. But yeah, every single day, or the vast majority of days at the very least, people are spending millions of pounds a day across the UK as a whole. Millions of pounds a day are spent on sandwiches, something which, by the way, you can just make at home. Why don't we just all agree not to have those things? Ignoring the fact that it's like this argument built on future sight, like, oh, I don't understand why these people can't just see the future and guess there's going to be an outbreak based on this fact. If we just, you know, leave that to the side for now. Also, my plan is to have, like, the rail curve in to the left. I guess I could just fly onto the top and see which way it goes. That might be a fun idea. Let's have rails going all the way into this thing. Now let's see how exactly this does in fact work. Also, I am so, I came so close to using exactly the right amount of rails. I think by the time we use the powered rails, we'll be like 3 rails short, which makes me either a super genius or a super dummy, depending on how close we get. And I really, really hope it's the super genius level where I totally knew how many we were going to use. Because I totally did, trust me. If anyone says I didn't, they are a liar and cannot be trusted. Okay. So we place a rail there. I don't know why this rail can't link together. I guess you can't have powered rails be on a hill for whatever reason. Huh. That is... Like, I can have it be there, but I can't have... Okay, nope, that works. Just weird connection, I guess. And then there's 2 more rails, which if I'm not mistaken, and I really hope I'm not, is enough to get me up and then over here. So, hypothetically, you know, we can remove this block. Just for now, place one there. Probably actually good to have another couple powered rails on this hill. Just for safety reasons, you know? Just because we need to get to the top. We really got to guarantee we actually get there, so 1 and 2 can go over here instead. Just like that. And then we can instead place a powered rail there and there, I hope. Yes, we can. But yeah, so now we've got this little system. Let's see where our minecart actually goes. I'm so curious about this one. But yeah, so someone made the point that, like, yeah, we should just all not eat. Why don't we just make our own sandwiches? Like, it's not a hard thing to do. You know, like, it's such a dumb appeal where it's like, oh yeah, making sandwiches could save lives. But the reality is, the reason we do it in the first place, like, it ignores the point of, like, why do people do it in the first place? Because when you're talking about something you're not personally a fan of, or you wouldn't personally care too much if you lost, you forget that, like, oh, people are actually spending a lot of their own money every day on these things. Why is that, you know? Is it because they know they can make their own sandwiches and they're just at the mercy? You know, they have no ability to not... Oh, we go this way, apparently, by default. It kind of lets me pick, actually. But yeah, now we go this way around. And guess what we can do? We can do a loop off the Minecraft world. It's going to be real nice. But yeah, it's not because people can't, you know, get themselves, you know, it's not because people can't make their own sandwich. They choose not to. They think the convenience of having a thing is worth at least £2 or £3 to them. And it's so easy to criticize goods and services that you yourself don't buy as being, like, unnecessary. I used to see myself do this all the time, where, like, oh yeah, why do people they hire a full-time employee just to work on their garden? A gardener, you know? You know, let alone that rich people have pool boys, but we'll leave that to the side. But, like, oh yeah, you have a gardener? Why is that, you know, like, is your garden that important to you? It's just a thing you look at, and you're paying someone a full-time salary, or let's just say part-time, but someone gets a salary to look after your garden. That seems dumb. But it's like, well, they clearly value, you know, like, the money less than they, you know, more than they value the time. Or they value their time more than they value the money, to put that better. Like, oh yeah, the amount of time it would take them to do a task they don't want to do, someone else might prefer just, you know, having the money instead. It's like, oh, that's exactly how every single good and service works. There are very few examples, and some of them exist, where you buy something not because you want to, but because you have to. I'd say, like, an example is, like, you know, and even then, like, you know, like rent, you have to buy it. But even then, you get more value from living in the house than you do the money. It's just you feel like you have to live in a house because that's what society deems. And, you know, like, my electricity bill, every now and then I see it, and I'm like, oh, that's a lot of money. Why am I paying this? My water bill, too. I didn't pay my water bill for a while because I heard... I don't know. I didn't even hear it from a reputable source. Just someone said, you know, have to pay your water bill. And I was like, well, guess who's not doing it? I can't even remember my exact logic, but it was dumb. It was dumb and it was awful. And so I have to pay a lot of money to the water company every month. It's a weird and wacky thing, in my opinion, that I totally go through. And also, oh, this slowed down like massively. Why is that? Like, it was going so fast, and now we're going so slow. I guess powered rails are just less effective. We need more of them, maybe. Anyway, but so like I feel real dumb every month when I pay you know, like a hugely inflated amount of my water, but I still need the water more than I need the 45 pounds or whatever they charge me, because there's a huge debt that I'm still trying to pay off. You know, like there is a, ooh, that's uncomfortable, gotta fix that. But there we go, we did a full loop, by the way, and we lost the minecart. Rip in peace, rip in peace. But it kind of reminds me of the whole straw argument that comes up like every now and then. Obviously we forgot about the environment because we're dealing with a virus, for better or for worse. I would argue maybe for worse, but whatever. Like, oh yeah, like, you know, the environment doesn't matter anymore because we've got like other pressing issues, is the widespread view. But like before that, people were like, oh yeah, we can totally save the environment by switching to paper straws, ignoring the impact they had. It's just like, oh yeah, it's an easy thing for us all to do to just switch from this. It's like most of the people who are most passionate about switching were not people who liked you know, plastic straws to begin with. Like, when you don't understand the utility that something is brought, because again, especially if something's free, you don't understand why it's free. Why is it a thing? Like, why are people just giving away a you know, thing that ruins the environment until you have the alternative? Like, it was only after, I feel like, people had to switch away that they realized, oh, this thing that I used to do actually brings me enjoyment and delight into my life. And yeah, it's just it's a weird thing to see happen on such a widespread basis of people being like, ah, this is why people do the thing. And I guess it's just a useful life lesson in general that I'm trying to like really instill myself. Like, generally speaking, if people pay money for something, it's easy when people tell me like, oh, they're just rich and they don't know any better. That's the easy, you know, mental heuristic that isn't going to be correct most of the time, because most people, you know, there are people who have lots of money who are very bad with their money, but it's not the vast, it's not the vast majority. You know, the vast majority either, you know, like are doing semi-smart decisions to keep, because, you know, like at some point you have to collect their money, or at the very least they know they are blowing their money and they're doing it deliberately, and they just, again, they enjoy the value they get from blowing money. Which is, you know, if you think about it this way, if you did a mass at some point in your life, like 500,000, and then you got like a year left to live, do you want to leave behind that 500,000 to the people we care about? Or do you want to blow it all? Because my genuine argument also looks like we need to have half slabs on the side, so let's craft some of those up. Right after we go to sleep in my nice little palatial estate mansion thing. Oh, look how nice this is. Oh, love the views I get with all my Minecraft wealth. I have gold blocks I just used to make a throne. I don't even sit on the throne, except right now to prove how rich I am in Minecraft. Joking aside. Always have to say I'm joking, or someone will be like, ho ho, ToycatA, you're not rich. And it's like, it's a joke, it's Minecraft. That's I know I'm not rich. That's why you say the joke. It's less funny if it's real. Actually, there's a funniness to realness too, right? But yeah, basically, one of the okay, we're gonna just have little half slabs roll over here. Just make this a little bit more in line with the rest of this whole thing. And now we made ourselves a minecart system that goes around. But yeah, like I was saying before, so Minecraft has a very interesting life has a very interesting property of people making decisions for things they like. And also there's an interesting thing where we like to criticize the decisions of those. Like, we like to look up people, be like, oh, that's how bad their stuff is, because we, you know, like we don't know why they care about the things they care about, and therefore they must not care about it. It must just be an extravagant, you know, like display of how much they don't know how the world works or something. One of the ones, like, I was really caught up with this when I was super young, because one of the things that kind of hurts when you're like a teenager, like let's say late teenager, like, you know, like about to start in the world of work, is like how far behind you are behind people just because they've been doing it for so long. And that's like at a best, you know, at a worst, it's like there are people who had opportunities I will never have in my life, and those people, you know, like who have all those glorious lucky things, are, you know, like so far ahead I feel like I can never catch up. But maybe you never can. You're like, I hate, like, you know, I wish we could like reverse the system, bring it all back down to zero, like everyone could start again effectively, or, you know, instead of bring it down to zero, you equalize, you know, everything right now, like all the wealth that's been accrued, like, oh yeah, you guys, you did that before I was around, that's not fair, let's start this clock again, and then everything will be fair. And that was kind of my big belief, but like, yeah, everything is super unfair, especially people who are born to rich parents, right, and don't ever have to work. Something just inherently feels about that. Like, I hate that. I despise that with so much of my being. Because it just feels messed up that just by circumstance of your birth, that you should have a bunch of money. By the way, we've made one little minecart route. I want to make a second one because I've got a little idea in my nether. Because right now, to get between my two houses, I have to walk between the nether portals. So I go to the nether, it takes 3 seconds. Then I walk up these stairs just over here. Oh, I walk across here, then over here, and then I head down these stairs on the left. And it's just this really, like, it's not a long process. It takes me 20-ish seconds. But I just feel like, man, there's got to be a faster way. And there are faster ways in Minecraft. I could use a blue ice boat pathway, but because it's such an elevation difference, you can't use boat pathways. I could fly, but that wastes a firework, and it's actually kind of tricky to do consistently without hurting myself, because it's such a short distance. Like, this way round, I can totally just glide, and it's fine. Oh, lag makes it not fine sometimes. But I can glide, it's fine, it's faster. But the other way, it's a real problem. So what is the solution? The solution, I genuinely think, is going to be the minecart-based one. That's right, we place a rail over here. Should have really got more rails, huh? Because only one rail. Not enough to have a happy life with a minecart, I would not assume. But we'll leave it there anyway. And what we can do is we can build ourselves a little minecart rail that goes from here and goes perfectly up to there. Bringing it across and kind of making this new little system. And, you know, again, right now what that requires is... Because, you know, the thing about a minecart rail is even though it's slower than... it's slower than a blue ice boat, it's slightly faster than running, sometimes, debatably. And it's better for, like, elevation changes. So if I'm going to be going up this hill, because, again, I don't want to waste the firework, because the firework goes too far anyway, having a minecart rail between right over here, this little section, this goes through here and my whole chest room, having something that goes all the way across here, we could just say it starts perfectly right here, through there, again, it's going to go between 2 lava beams, which I think will be cool, through there and through that mountain will genuinely be faster. I'm going to have a minecart rail in my nether, I genuinely use, and I'm excited for it. Yeah, it's gonna be great. Let me grab my nether wart. I don't think I have many nether wart because I used most of them in the soul sand farm last week, but we'll work that one out as we go. Let's grab from the furnace some nether brick. Let's craft these things together to get red nether brick because I love this block so much. It's very underappreciated. And let's show you what I'm talking about here. Because I guess I'll make the whole thing out of red nether brick. So we'll just we'll have this go this way for as long as possible, and then we'll have a big decline after this little twin beam right here. But yeah, like I used to be very much of the idea of like, man, how is it that people can just be born? And I still to this day I'm uncomfortable with it. Like I don't hate the people individually. Like you're not responsible for the disparity between, you know, how I was born in, you know, effectively a, you know, like in my parents between them had negative money, whereas between you, your parents have whatever positive money. Like I used to be like, but it's like that's not like obviously that's not down to the individual people themselves. That's something societal issue. Actually, have any of these Neverwart blocks grown? As best I can tell, unless I don't know what a finished Neverwart looks like. I think okay, no, I just don't know what a finished Neverwart block looks like anymore. So let's just harvest it all and then work out what's grown and what hasn't, I guess. Anyway, so like I was saying, I used to be very like envious about it and be like, man, that's not cool. And there is definitely an extent of that still that I would prefer to balance out if I was supreme dictator in charge. But I also think like something we forget about when we talk about like, oh yeah, there is this huge gap between how much people have, and even between, you know, especially between how much people earn, especially like, you know, the having can be accrued over generations, but the earning is something you do mostly within your own generation. But it's like, oh yeah, if you spend 30 years working at a job, you should really hope that you earn more than someone who just started right now, right? If you have, you know, like a wife, a family, kids, etc. Like the peak earning is when you're like 40, 50, etc. That's when you will make the most money. That's where most CEOs are. If you exclude Mark Zuckerberg from the list of the richest people in the world, because he's like a weird exception, that's where most people who have the big bucks have ended up as well. Like, oh yeah, this is mostly people who just happened, you know, who have been working a very long time, gotten to that point in their career. And even though we could argue whether it's fair and whether you'll get there at that point as well, the biggest thing to me that was like, it makes you realize that if you did manage to take all the money in the world, put it in a big pot, or in a country, put it in a big pot, and then take that big pot Also, look, there's effects in there. Take that money in that big pot and, you know, like, distribute it and make it, like, a perfectly fair system. Then you end up running into the issue of, like, but then you have an unfair, like, one of the things I guess I value a lot, after seeing old people who had clearly a lot of money traveling around Europe, like, because I did a lot of traveling back in the before times. Don't know if you guys remember those before times, but they were wacky, huh? But I did a lot of traveling. I used to see a lot of older people, let's call them, going around Europe, and they used to be like so worn out and tired and like, you know, like I don't know if it's polite to say, but like almost dead. And I was like, oh yeah, they spent their whole life trying to get here, and like even though they've got the money, I'm sure they trade it in a heartbeat. You know, like being wealthy, you know, being like I guess agey and wealthy. What's the word I'm looking for? Being young and you know, poor is actually a significantly better condition. At least, you know, maybe at least for them, they would feel like them being being young and you know, like poor would be a much better position than being old and wealthy, because there's only so much life preservation you can do. There's only so much you can live through. You know, it's like you know how one of the flaws in, like, one of the few things that you will buy regardless of its, you know, cost and how much value it brings you is like something that saves your life. Like if you need, what is it, like an EpiPen to survive, if you need insulin to survive or whatever else, you would spend an unlimited amount. Obviously, if you feel you're getting ripped off, you might try and you know, like put your life at risk just to like show someone who's boss. But if it really comes down to it, like it's like you will die in 12 hours without this versus I will give you this for a certain price. There's no like limitation on what you do for it. Same with like, I don't know, a kidney transplant or something. Like if you need a kidney and someone's like, remortgage your home, sell everything you have in your world, like sell your servitude to me for 5 years. You'd be like, well, 5 years of servitude beats, you know, like 5 minutes of dying uncomfortably in this hospital bed. And as a result of that, I really should have mined this first to make sure this actually worked out. Because otherwise, yeah, I think we started this climb a little bit too late. I think we have to go back a few blocks. Because even going down one more, so we go one block down from here, we still end up out of this at about like this altitude. Which actually, not, that might be perfect. I don't know who it's perfect for. If we start like here, and then we have the mountain kind of go upwards and around, we could maybe make this work. I'm not that comfortable with it though. But anyway, yeah, like the most valuable thing that you have is that it's always like hard to see the things that you have in abundance as being great, right? This is why so many wealthy people don't realize they think so. But this is also why so many young people don't realize, like, oh, that moment with the, you know, the old tourists that just like really wanted to do this and clearly loved, you know, they'd always dreamed of traveling Europe, couldn't actually do it the way they imagined, because also we went one block too low now. They couldn't actually do it the way that they imagined because of the fact that to do it the way that they imagined, they needed to be young, and you know, they dreamed of it when they were young, but they can't do it when they're young. And it's like, it was the ultimate tragedy to me that is never really stuck, because we don't really have proper conversations about stuff, right? When we talk about stuff, especially like political, because political news is all about the things that touch your buttons. I don't want to. I guess you can't talk about current. I don't like the politics where it's like, oh, that's a clear list, but like current political president man of the United States of America realizes that, like, oh yeah, this, you know, people think that it's all about the issues and this and that, but it's about what makes the news so that it can have those debates and start those issue things. And that's why, you know, like every time there's a big piece of news that might be negative for him or good for his opponents, something dumb comes out about like, oh yeah, I'm going to increase the pressure on shower heads or something. It's like, what is this for? Also, I need more rails if I'm going to do this. Also, I guess I should extend it to be 3 wide, because I don't want to be in a 1-way tunnel. Let's do that too. Let's make that happen. Also, maybe we should have it like not go like this, or maybe we could have it go through the wall. Wait, I've got an idea. I've got a new genius idea. What if we like had the minecart rails start literally here, or end literally here? We'd have this be like the buffer stop, and then you just go vroom straight up the hill. That'd be great, right? That'd be real great. And then this could be the block where it kind of falls onto when it's done. Hey, yeah, I've come up with something. Proud of me. Okay, so since this Neverwort farm is like barely fully grown, which means I'm not really replacing all the Neverworts, like I'm getting a bad return because it's not it's not been allowed to grow for long enough. Something I can do to get nether warts without affecting my world, because I like this nether wart valley. It's a 360 exclusive kind of biome, or like feature, let's call it. That was around because you weren't guaranteed to have a nether fortress in your world, so you needed nether warts to make potions and stuff. So they just used to grow on any random soul sand, and we're going to take advantage of the fact that these have been growing for 8 years, to just replace them, because they'll grow again, it'll be fine. Even if they don't, they don't need to be grown to be impressive. And we're just going to replace each of these with new ones. I never thought this would be a way I got nether wart to make a video, but here we are regardless. But yeah, no, I think the thing that is so important more than anything else, because, you know, again, it's so easy to get stuck down a train of logic thinking like, well, this would be real great, only, you know, from my point of view, and perhaps from anyone who was in my perspective's point of view, this is entirely needless. Like, I am someone who really likes, you know, I like good food. I like fast food. Well, honestly, a lot more than like, I could never understand the person who spends. I saw a French restaurant near I'm staying in Las Vegas that was, I think it was $300 for like 2 people was what a review said, and he's like, oh, it's really good value for money. And I read that and I was like, I don't understand what it is like to spend $300 on dinner and be like, ah, that was a good evening. That was a good hour or so. Yeah, that's a $300 an hour food experience. You know, like, I could maybe see a third of that for a real treat, but, you know, like, it's the sort of thing that I haven't personally done yet and can't see myself doing at this present moment. But yeah, it's still like, well, you know what, the French food must have been just really good. Maybe he just liked it that darn much, right? And, you know, when you... I think looking at people who have different preferences to us, and rather than seeing this as the devil and the other, kind of working out what it is that they like, and then working out where our differences truly lie, is an important thing that we don't really do. Again, we don't really talk to people we disagree with or on the other side of an issue to us. And by that, I don't just mean like, usually when people think the other side of an issue, like, this sounds like it's some political talk, especially since I mentioned the Mr. Politics man himself. Although really, you could argue President of the United States is very big on reality TV more than politics, but we could talk about that some other day. It'd be a fun conversation to have. But like yeah. So let's have this matched on the other side, and then after that we could have it go off. Actually, this needs to be at least at most 1 wide there. So I guess it could be 3 wide in the tunnel. No, even okay. I guess it just doesn't make sense to make this wider without moving the lava too. Also, maybe I should move the lava anyway. I feel like bad things are eventually going to happen. I don't know why I get that feeling, but I really do, you know? I just really have a strong vibe that things will go negatively for me at some point if I continue this way. I don't know why. But, yeah, like, people think I'm talking about politics and, like, whatever. Sure, there is probably a certain degree of politics that, like, we are, you know, like, in the United States, there are generally, like, 2 big sides that are organized parties. In the rest of the world, generally we call it left and right, right? Like the 2 sides of the political debate. But like even leaving that up, like that's like one superficial way we're divided. Another way, you know, we're divided is into young and old. Another way that we're divided in the world that you don't really, again, that we don't engage the other side of is like English speaking versus French or Spanish speaking world. There's like 2 other very common worldwide languages that we don't really engage with so much. Also, it's interesting that works that way. We don't really engage with it so much. I'm gonna go get some powered rails. The plan is to use as many powered rails as possible because it's such a short journey. We just care about journey time. And obviously you always care about journey time, but like, especially here, right? So yeah, let's put one of these down. Let's see if this works. It won't work very easily because I have to like get in and push it uphill. Don't think that's even possible actually. Let's believe, no, believing is not the answer. Unless maybe we just need to believe harder. I reckon that's actually the problem. Let's put our rail there. Let's I don't know how I'm gonna reasonably test this one. Okay, we had some progress there. See, I could do this the reasonable way, or I could not. Hey, there we go. Look at that. Oh, it kind of runs out halfway up the hill. It's kind of fun that you can get stuck on a hill like this. Huh, I like that. That might be useful someday. Oh, we can actually walk up it, or like push ourselves up it. Yeah, powered rails without power are actually really cool because they mean they're entirely movable by you, the user, even on a hill. So if you want to pause on a hill, you can do that apparently. Would you want to is a different question that I will not answer right now. But yeah, for now we can just leave that there as we power on the rest and get some more powered rails and regular rails to finish up the rest of this. But yeah, the world is divided up into lots of, like, I would say 2 major categories of things. Like, again, when you look at an individual country, you're like, oh, it's all about rich, poor, left, right. It's all about, you might even go with the old and young thing, and it really seems true. That's why the word boomer is such a big thing, right? Like, oh, those people who were born a long time ago, they sure do suck as a group of in their entirety, which is, you know, it's a bold statement to make. I'll give them that. I don't know why I keep underestimating how many of these rails we need, but I have managed to consistently do that, so I wish there was points for that, because I would deserve them. So we'll just finish up with, I guess, some powered rails here on this side, because, you know what, why not? Power them up, doesn't work that way. Power them up with a lever, that's why I made this. I saw this coming, and then we'll leave it there. No, that's not okay. Although, actually, we can just make it okay. There we go. This is a very long platform in that just keeps everyone safe. And then we could also remove these 2 blocks. No, if we're going to remove these blocks, we have to, like, make it safer around the area. So we have to make it go like this now. So, like, round a corner, question mark. Yeah, I don't really see how this one's working. But I guess you'd stand here. We'd have a door in the way, an iron door or something like that. But yeah, either way, now we've got ourselves a way in and out of this thing. We just gotta place 1 more powered rail and also power these rails. We'll get to that in a little bit. Yeah, you know what? We're just going to need. There's no like way around this. We need a few more rails, which means I'm gonna have to waste some iron. Or okay, we're just spending the iron. I'm gonna be honest with you. But yeah, there's lots of ways you can divide people into groups that like don't talk to each other, don't feel like they have anything in common. Like, oh, you ever think about you know, the fact that, you know, not just English versus French speaking. Think about the fact that, like, even if you're not a religious person, the world which is based on, you know, Judeo Christianity, which is what we call the West primarily. Like, oh yeah, what about the second biggest Abrahamic religion, Islam? Like that's the big boogeyman for some people, right? But then even go one step further, what about the idea of religion versus non-religion altogether? Like all religions combined are kind of spooky that a man in the sky tells you what to do, you know, better than a person with a rational thing. You could make the argument, right? Like, oh yeah, who you know, which of these is really the scariest, you know, group? The people with the other spooky man in the sky, or anyone who follows a spooky man in the sky. I don't know why they're spooky men now, but you know, that is what I have decided and what we're sticking to. So good luck trying to get me to stop. But basically, you get what I'm primarily trying to say here, right? The fact is that there are lots of ways the world is divided into. There's a trillion ways. It's something I spend a lot of time thinking about, like why do certain ones come up sometimes? And it ultimately is just like we as humans love in-groups, out-groups. We love ways to divide ourselves. We love ways to be divided. Even it sometimes feels like, yeah, I get excited about ways that I'm different from someone else, and you know, like, you know, landing in Ural and stuff like that, and being like, oh yeah, people who see you know, like Laurel, please unfriend me. People who genuinely, to this day, I see it. I thought it was sarcasm, but I've seen it so much that people genuinely believe, like, oh yeah, iPhone, Android. If you have the wrong one, then, you know, grow up and get a real phone. You know, like, you know, whichever one you clearly like more. But it's like, Jesus, there are people who really say that. Anyway, look at this. We made, just like this, a minecart that gets me between the places that fast. In reality, what I have to do every time, because I'm probably going to want to go back, what I have to do every time is I have to push the minecart back, and I only have to use 1 minecart for this, because handily enough, in my opinion at least, handily enough, I am only ever going to have to go upwards. If I'm going downwards with this new little area, I can always glide down just fine. Although actually, even that, I could make gliding a little bit easier too. But yeah, I can glide down. That's what I'm trying to say here. It's real cool. We're going to cover that up, because it feels a bit ugly to leave it exposed. And now we're going to destroy through this mountain. I make myself a gliding hole too. Because if this is the best way to minecart through, which again, I can just show you one more time how this works, in case that's what you want to see. I guess this is why you stop on a powered rail usually. Wait, let's just, oh damn it. Let's remove a powered rail from somewhere in this middle space here, because we clearly don't need it, and we have some regular rails to replace it. And let's have a non-powered rail be the start, because we don't even need to fit it out to make it work the way we want to. But yeah, so let's try this one more time. Let's make this work correctly, and also I just did that. I am... See, you're not smart people and dumb people. People who jump into lava beams, people who don't. There are a trillion ways we can divide ourselves. And we love to do it. But to act like there is only one way to do it, and it's the way that you're thinking about right now, because it's convenient to whatever you already think, it's fine. I guess it's fair. Do whatever you want. There we go. Look, so much better. Look how much significantly improved that was from that little decision right there. And then also on the other side, I guess we'll do the same thing. We'll have a little powered rail. A powered rail with a button, or a lever, sure, why not? Powered rail with a lever. Oh, that works. It's weird that that works. Would it work if I did it on the side of this block here? I guess it should because it's the block next to it, right? Yeah, now what we can do is we can have a little lever. So when we get here, which actually, no, I think we do want a button, actually. I think, even though we made a lever, I think we want some form of button. Because then you activate it, and then you go. Or actually, a pressure plate. Yeah, I get out. Pressure platerize it. And then we're good to go. This is very dangerous to do out in the open. Now the Nether's so dangerous, by the way. But no ghasts have come yet, so I guess they never will. So we'd roll our minecart along. We would... no. Okay, we... go backwards. How nice. That's great. And we came off the edge that time. That's a bad sign. Get back in the minecart. Or actually, Rob, let's just have this be there instead. So we kind of stop on it, hopefully. If we need another one, we can. And then we can push ourselves back on. There we go. No, damn. It's facing the wrong way, because of course it is. But you have to flip yourself. And there we go. Okay, we come up. Oh, look, it's real great. It's real great. We're going so fast. And then we stop all of a sudden. And how do we push ourselves back again? We go like that. Yeah. Hey, it works. Vaguely. And yeah, just to make it a little bit more effective, we'll do that. And then replace this with that. And yeah, I'm pleased with the system now. Actually, I think we should... Okay, wait. Minor change. I think we should have more powered rails be closer to this. So it can start a bit faster. But yeah, now we got ourselves a really, really, really basic minecart system. And because it's so direct, again, there's nothing revolutionary about this. This is something I could have built in 2012. And it probably would have been significantly better looking if I did it then. There's nothing new about this. But what is interesting and useful and all those other things that I hope you find it to be about this perhaps is the fact instead that it is the most direct route, which makes it usable for me. And that is something I value in it. Okay, let's put a powered rail there. And now let's see if it'll still, even after all of this, little powered rail push. Okay, there we go. We go up the mountain, but then we want to come back down. Even pushing all the way back, I can't stop myself. So, fine, go all the way. And then we go back again, just like this. Yay! But will I stop on the powered rails this time? I will! Aha! See? I troubleshot it. Working with minecarts, it's fun. You can do it in 2020. It's fine. Working with anything is fun. You can do it in 2020. It's fine. And you know what? We live in a world where people will tell you many things aren't fine. And that's okay. There's a whole thing I love to talk about sometime about, like, the way we don't even argue correctly. We talk about weaknesses, like strengths, and so on and so forth. But instead, I'd rather just say, you know, I had a good day today. I hope you have a good day. And if you want to see more of these, because somehow this was your first video, because they're crazy long, it's a problem, subscribe. I am super curious about where I'll be off this. And my next Let's Play episode will be live from the week I recorded it, so that will be fun. I'm looking forward to be back after so long. Like, it'll be a week for you, but so much longer for me, because I value my trust and my consistency to you more than I value not making 3 Let's Play episodes in the space of a week. So I hope you enjoy all of that as well. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you did all enjoy, because I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.